I'm Ode. That's Vicky. I'm me. You're you. We are we.
Oh my god, that was so corny.
The You, Me, We
goodness.
podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the You, Me, We podcast. I'm Ode.
I'm Vicky.
And this is episode 77. We are 3 away from 80. Check out the quick maths. How are you, Vicky?
Wait.
Wait, was that wrong? 77? Yeah, from 80.
I said wait for something else. Look how quickly you doubted yourself.
Go ahead.
You said 77.
Yeah. Because the last one was 76.
Yeah, I know, but you just don't find it funny. You kind of just been flowing through the S's for the past 7 episodes. And actually in the 60s.
This is bullying, but go ahead. This is lisp shaming.
That's not a thing yet. So when we get there, we'll
will
cross that bridge.
as soon as you get them to acknowledge all black lives,
then we'll never get there.
Then we're going to break down
We'll
the
never
different
get there.
branches, such as
We'll never get to lisp shaming.
Well, we're like 35th in the pecking order, but we're going to get there.
They can't even get through number 1.
You're right. So, we're here today, and we figured since Vicky has to apologize to me for something, I don't know what yet. I'll figure something out.
I have a list of things that you should apologize for.
I trust me. I have a list of. I have a booklet of things.
So show it.
Well, I have an app of things.
Where is it?
I needed more gigs, more space, so I went to an app.
Produce it.
And I figured pretty much, you know what? Let me just. Hopefully the app, and then I bought extra space. I needed like a terabyte of space because there's so many apologies that I've been owed over the past. So
produce it.
Don't worry, I will. That's gonna be my vows.
That's the difference between you and me. I can produce it.
That's gonna
you
be.
Can't.
I can. I don't know if we have enough space to record. I can produce it verbally right now.
I welcome you to it.
But I'll save it for my vows. So I figured since there's something that there's probably something Vicky should apologize to me for, I'll figure it out later.
It's definitely not.
We should talk about something we've been wanting to talk about for a while, or we've thought about it in the past, but we just never got around to it. And it was the apology languages. Am I saying it right? Or the 5 apology languages? Or what's the proper way of saying it?
I think it's just called apology languages.
Yeah. It's like a spin-off of the love languages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually by the same people, the same company, the same group. I don't know. I've never really read into the love languages because
people. Wow, look at you prioritizing your relationship.
No, we've talked about this before. I just haven't. I wasn't a big fan of the love languages and people.
Why?
No, it was just to me, when people would talk about it, to me it came off to
people like me.
People like you too, yeah. It came off.
No, as in just me?
No. Other people I've heard other people talk about it.
Okay.
World doesn't revolve around Vicky. Other people talk about this love language, which is why these people are probably rich and famous now. But it kind of reminded. I think one of the reasons why it didn't sit well, but just didn't resonate with me was, I guess it could be because I think people would what's the word? Not pigeonhole themselves or lock themselves into one thing. That maybe with different people, you might require and desire different things instead of going in. This is me. I'm this kind. To me, it came off like people who hold themselves to the stereotypes of their astrological sign. Well, I'm a Cancer, so that's just how I am. That's just how we are. It's like, does that make any sense? Or that's what it made me think of.
Well,
it reminds me of that kind of thing.
That's very unfortunate that you see it that way because that's not what it is at all.
It's just how I see it.
I know, and I'm expressing how unfortunate it is that you have such a pessimistic view on it because you think that people are using it to identify themselves when it's actually the complete reverse. Mm-hmm. It's helping you identify what you already are. It's not listing if you're this person, then you're going to definitely want all of these things. It's saying from the way that you are, you respond better to these top 3 things. Like of all the love languages, you respond better, or you respond better to just this one love language, or it looks like you respond really well to a mix of these 3. And perhaps that person is getting, an abundance of the other 2 love languages. And they're feeling like, oh my God, I'm so unappreciative. It just doesn't mean anything to me when they do things like that. When in reality, the person's just not speaking their love language. It's not something to identify by. Like, it's not something to mold you into a certain identification. It's helping you.
Well, the way people have been
direct
explaining it. So
that's why people should read the book and make their judgments based off of the book as opposed to other people's takes on it. It's like pretty much anything, and it's like anything. The way that you see it is not at all the way that it is. Like, it's not, oh, all Cancers are like this and all Capricorns are like this. It's saying like, yo, these are the top, number of ways that people produce a way of how they express gratitude, and the most likelihood is that they express in the way that they like to receive. And here are some ways to identify it, because that's not something that's commonly spoken of. So that's what the 5 love languages are. It's just helping you identify, how do you best speak your love language? Like, how do you best communicate it to other people? That's all it is. And it's just it helps to clarify the barrier between you and your spouse, who has one, like, perfect example, me and you. You would do things and I would be like, okay. And in the same in return, I would do things and you're like, yeah, that doesn't like, yeah, thank you, but it's not. And then when we took the quiz,
no.
right. But when we took the quiz, we realized that the things that you were doing for me were your actual love languages, because that's how you see doing things for someone you love. And what I was doing for you, like the things that I would give you, or however I express my love, was the way that I like to receive love. So when we took the quiz and we were like, oh my God, that's like, if you love me, then you do ABC. And to me, it was like, that doesn't mean anything if you do ABC. That does not mean that you love me. So that is what the 5 love languages is. It just helps you understand. So that way so now I know, if I want to make you feel loved, I have to go according to your love language.
Mic back away a little bit.
So I have to go according to your love language, because that's the only way you're going to understand it.
There's a response. There's a response somewhere out there. I forgot where I saw it. I've got to find it. I'm not even going to try to explain it. But I came across like an interesting response to the love languages a while back. I've got to find it. I can't remember what it said, but I know I saw it and I was like, what? That was an interesting take on it. I'm going to find it hopefully by next episode. But there was somebody's response to it. It wasn't like negative. It was just like an interpretation of it and how to approach it. But I'll find it. But yeah. So
what?
No, I was just referring to, there's something out there that I saw that was interesting. I can't remember what it was, so I'm not going to try to like butcher it and like explain it. But there was an interesting like response to how people should. It was different from what you just said, but it wasn't like a negative take on the love languages. But I just remembered being an interesting take on how people utilize like the love languages and how they should approach it, or approach relationships with the love languages in mind. But I can't remember exactly what that approach was. But hopefully I will find it by next episode. So we came across the apology languages, and I guess similar to the love languages, there is a quiz, and we took the quiz. We didn't tell each other what our responses were. We purposely wanted to save it for the episode. So first, what are the apology languages? So when we get to what our individual languages are, there'll be a better understanding from the audience. So. The love languages, or do you want to just say what yours was and then we'll start from there? We'll say what ours was and we start from there.
Whatever you think is best.
Okay, let's go through the languages, and then we'll talk about it. Or no, we'll do what ours was.
Okay.
So what was yours? No, I just thought you would help me like pick one. What was yours?
Mine was it was accepting responsibility.
Accepting responsibility. Mine was. Just want to make sure. Accepting responsibility.
That's interesting.
So, from your understanding, is the apology languages, are they going off what you said earlier? Are they? This is what you would want in an apology?
Yes.
Yeah. So in the quiz that we took, a lot of my answers were leaning that way, leaning towards accepting responsibility. Because in the quiz, they would give you an example like, what's a question that you found interesting? There was one that was like, your sister, or there was one that your spouse, no. The one that I found interesting was the restaurant one. A waiter drops food on your clothes, and what would you expect him or her to say? And it was like, oh, I'm sorry, my fault, I ruined your shirt, something like that. Then it was like, there was some response of like, oh my goodness, I am forever indebted to you. I will pay you all my wages. Like it just came off to me. It came off very like there was a lot of bells and whistles to the apology or whatever.
Some people, that's what they want.
No, I'm just explaining what the responses were. Some of them were very like bells and whistles, and I realized with that question and some other ones, I was quick to pick after going through them all, quick to pick the one that was just straight up like, I screwed up. My bad. I feel like that a lot of my answers, if I summed up why I think I chose them, because I said to myself, yeah, I just want that. I just want I screwed up. My bad. I should not have done that. And the ones that straight up said I was wrong, those are the ones I felt like I went more towards. And then when I saw that as my language, I was like, yeah, I guess that is what I was going for. So, or that's what stood out to me in those responses.
In those, there's different. I don't feel that that's probably just our overwhelming apology language. But I did find myself having a mix of responses. So with things like that, like one of the questions was if somebody broke something or the waiter spilled something on your shirt. The apology preferred for me in those circumstances where a monetary value can be easily attached, my preferred apology is, I'm sorry, can I repay you for the damage? Because it's quantitative, that's in and out, admit you're wrong, admit you messed up, and then offer to fix what you just fucked up.
I thought about...
Because it's quantitative. It's easier.
I thought about those. There was one, well, it made me think, that question made me think of, you had a friend who somebody broke something that they can easily like get the money back for, or the person can give them the money back for, or buy it again. We told me yesterday, someone's TV. Oh, yes. Yeah, but I thought about that. But
right, that's a perfect example. Yeah. So when that happens, instead of saying, I don't know how this happened, it must have been loose. Like, just accept that you did it, that you did something wrong, and immediately offer to pay for it. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to make you pay for something.
And I think that's why I didn't go to those.
It's not because I want you to give me the money for what you just ruined, but 9 times out of 10, I want you to be actionable about what you messed up. Like, how can I fix this? This is something of value, of a certain value. Tell me how much so I can fix this for you. Offer to fix it. Don't stand there and
wait for you to
and wave the fingers to everyone else except for you. You know, like, don't wait for me to call it out. But if it's something you can fix, just offer to fix it. And then I usually would be like, oh, don't worry about it. But if you don't offer, at that point, I'm demanding it. I'll be like, would you like me to send you the bill for this shirt? Because you're going to pay for it.
I caught myself leaning toward, there were some questions that there was that option where the response, and again, a lot of the questions were, here's the scenario, what type of apology or what type of response would you prefer? There were some that had that response of, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, I was wrong. Then there was I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, I was wrong. No, there was, how can I make it up to you kind of thing. And then there was a few that I picked where it was like, I'm sorry, I messed up, I was wrong. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me, even though I know you probably won't. Or if you don't, I know you probably won't, or maybe you won't. That's okay, but I hope you could find in your heart to forgive me. And I caught myself at least once or twice going with that one, where it was like that asking for, not that asking for forgiveness, but acknowledging that you might just be mad at me forever. And you know what? That's on you, and that's actually, I can't be mad at that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I saw a couple like that, and I picked those once or twice. Because I think it was a realistic response, and it was allowing the person to be mad. You know, it was allowing that person to be mad, to be done with you forever, depending on the severity of the situation. And I could appreciate that, even though I'm not going to be mad forever. I appreciate that you're letting me be as mad as I'm going to choose to be in that situation. Cause that piece of clothing that you might just think like, oh damn, I ruined your white shirt, I'm so sorry. I probably put so much weight on that white shirt because it meant a lot to me, and you probably don't know how important it was to me. So allow me to be really mad over what you might think was a white shirt, just a white shirt. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just going through the types of answers I saw and what I was thinking as I saw some of them. The questions were interesting. Nothing.
You didn't really ask me anything.
No, I was just commenting. So we both got accepting responsibility.
Which I find interesting.
Why do you find it interesting?
Because you don't accept responsibility.
And you haven't for years. I knew you were gonna say that. I'm just saying that I feel the same way. I feel like there was a time when that was my issue, where I felt like
Absolutely,
you
I
didn't
agree.
accept responsibility.
That what?
No, that's why when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I think because I realized that was my issue for a while with you. I felt like
agree.
you didn't accept responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I think it was accurate for me because I know for a fact that was a thing. That's my apology. That's my apology language. Or that's my preference.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay, forget it. I had it backwards.
Oh, so you stopped for a second and listened? I'm joking.
No.
What
I kept misinterpreting it as that's your apology language.
Like how I apologize?
Right, because that's what I was saying. That's why I find it funny, because you don't apologize like that. But I understand when I just inverted it, but I understand why that's your apology language.
So actually, before we get to that, then I want to get to that. What we think our own apology language is.
Mm-hmm.
I think then we should go over what they are. So we went over accepting responsibility, right? Another one is...
No, hold on. Let's clarify, because
there
was a few things you said earlier that is going to confuse people.
Okay.
So the whole accepting responsibility, every answer accepted responsibility.
Gotcha.
It was how much more did you do after that? So when we were taking the quiz, every answer started with I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, like in that example, every answer started with I'm sorry.
There was no, I don't know why you mad.
It was none of that. All of them accepted responsibility. The apology languages, when you leave it at just I'm sorry, that's called when you are expressing regret.
Expressing regret is?
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Just I'm sorry.
Right. It's mainly I'm sorry. It's mainly just like, hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt your feelings kind of things. Mm-hmm. And then there's accepting responsibility, which is like an example they use here is you take the burden of the apology and you don't put it off to the one you're apologizing to. And that's the one where it's like, instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry I'm late, traffic was whatever, this was whatever, and everything's been going crazy, you accept the burden of the apology. So you just say, I'm sorry, I should have planned out, my time getting here better. Yeah. And I'm sorry that I kept you waiting.
Let's keep that one for the example we use as we go through the different languages.
Yeah.
That example of the question they gave was, you and a friend agree to meet for a game at a stadium, and your friend shows up like 2 hours late and it was a game that you bought tickets for. So I'm saying let's just use that one as we go through them.
Well, yeah, that's an example in the article you sent me. And then like there's different ways. I mean I am quickly kind of going through them, but we can revisit them in detail. Making restitution it's pretty much you're just trying to figure out how can you make it right. So that's like the shirt is spilling something on my shirt. Like, oh my God, can I pay for that? I'm so sorry. That's kind of the example of making restitution.
The example for the person coming late was, hey, let's go to another game and I'll buy the tickets for that game.
Right. That's an example of making restitution. Genuinely repenting is pretty much changed behavior. You acknowledge the wrongness of what you did, and you accompany it by going out of your way to make sure it doesn't happen again.
How did you feel about those? There were a couple questions that the response was, I promise in the future I will never do that again. How do you feel about those?
That's an example of genuinely repenting. It's not my style, but I can see where that would be fitting.
Yeah.
So and then requesting forgiveness is the whole like, I hope you can forgive me, but also acknowledging that at that point you're putting it on the person you're asking forgiveness from, and that you're not owed any kind of response or accurate time of, like that's all in the hands of the person you're asking forgiveness from. But yeah, so like all of them accept responsibility. I mean, all of them say I'm sorry. Like there is a forgiveness attached to all of them. It's just in the way that you communicate after you say I'm sorry, because not every situation needs you to go the extra mile. Like, hey, you forgot to turn the light. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna set an alarm on my phone to make sure I never I'm gonna forget to turn off the light again.
I'm gonna go get smart bulbs and set the timers.
Yeah, I will. Like it doesn't need for that. But this article that Ode sent me, it did state how we may require different ways to, like, we should master all 5 of them because every situation might need something a little bit different. So that's what I'm saying. I think that that you favor towards someone who accepts responsibility, but sometimes that might not just be enough. It would need a request for forgiveness, and all that stuff. So that's why I was saying, like, wait, all of them say I'm sorry. So let me just explain a little bit more.
Could the same be said for the love languages? I'm asking you because you would understand it way better than me. The whole thing of what you prefer is not exactly how you love.
Yes,
you prefer it, but you don't love that way.
No.
That's what I'm asking. Like,
I know, but the reason why I'm like going like is because we took the test and you don't remember the results of the test. The test doesn't give you one answer like this quiz. The test gives you a percentage of where you score in all the love languages, and it sorts them from where you scored the highest to where you scored the lowest.
Like so that, at least the range, the scoring range.
Right. So it doesn't tell you, oh, you're only someone who likes gifts. Okay. It'll give you a whole bunch, a mix. Like it'll be like, hey, your top 3 out of 5 is this, and this, and it looks like you are a mix of all these things. So
I think with that understanding, with that also, I guess, reminds me
and it just says like, in the third one, you're 30% here, but in the first one, you're 70% here. So most likely you really geared towards this kind of love language, but sometimes you like a little mix of the 30% one.
And and I guess my thing was, and that's why I said the way I said it was the way some people have described it. Some people are quick to say, well, I'm this. But the way you put it, which I appreciate more, is I'm, there's this percentage of that, but people be like, I'm acts of kindness. And they kind of lock, the way they explained it, they lock themselves into that. Like, I'm acts of kindness and that's it. And not like, I'm acts of kindness, but in certain situations I am, sexual favors. I don't know what the things are. I'm just throwing the random things out there.
And none of them are sexual favors, but...
There's affection in there somewhere.
Affection, not sexual favors. Affection is not always sexual. But
you know what I mean? But I guess
I know what you mean. The people listening may not know what you mean.
I'm not. I didn't mean favor. I guess I meant affection and interaction.
Intimacy is what you mean.
Yes, there's the word. You words good with.
Well, intimacy also falls under affection, but
Okay.
which is why I again say, read the book. This is why reading is very fundamental, my friends. They even have it in audio if you don't want to sit down and read
Is
it.
there a movie?
I doubt there'll be a movie about that.
There should be a movie. Don't you think eventually there should be
Yeah,
a movie?
but movies are gonna do exactly what you say you hate about it.
What? They're
They're gonna give one to every person.
gonna
Every character gets one.
Who
So-
would you cast in the love languages
we're not talking about that. We're
movie?
talking about apology languages.
Go ahead. Well, oh yeah.
And I would never be good at that game because I don't know anybody's name.
All right, you just know face. Like the guy with the beard. From
Yeah,
that show.
I'd be like, oh yeah, that guy with the beard with the show, and now it's on Hulu. Yeah, like that's me. I would never know.
Okay, what is? I know we're gonna go back to the apology language. What is a random example? What is? I don't know her name or whoever Gray is. What is her love language
Who is Gray?
from Grey's Anatomy? Isn't she? Isn't
Oh,
that her name?
Meredith Grey.
Meredith Grey. What is Meredith's love language? And what was the love language of her husband that died
I
in the car
have
accident?
no idea. I'd have to review the love languages. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So what apology language?
Do we think we are? Right? Is that what we're asking? Do we think we are individually?
No, what apology? So we both got acts of, what is it? Accepting responsibility.
That's what we would.
Like.
That's the apology. We like. Okay.
Oh, that was the question. See how it's so easy to lose, to flip it.
Mm-hmm.
We were asking each other, what is the apology language that we think we give?
Yeah. The one that I think you give, or the one that I think I give.
Yes.
Yeah. What we think our. Okay.
Yeah. What each other. Yeah. So which one? Which one do you feel I give off the most?
Okay. So we're gonna confuse ourselves right now.
See how that's
No,
why I
no,
was
no, no.
confused earlier. It's easy to
Okay,
confuse it.
So what I was asking was, are we gonna now do? People listening like they're saying the same thing or they're not. Am I telling you now what I think what the apology language that I give off is?
Oh, I thought we were asking each other.
No.
Okay, so yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
asking what I think I give off.
Okay, you tell me what you think you give off, and
I-
I'll let you know.
I think that my personal outgoing apology language is
What is? You
my-
have an incoming
yes,
apology language?
Yeah, that's the one that I want
Okay.
from you. The one that comes
Okay,
from
your
me.
outgoing apology language. Okay.
Is let me see which one's the perfect one. No, I'm joking. I think mine is. I think I express regret. Why you made that sound? I think I express regret. I don't, and I'm thinking like with us. I'm thinking like in other situations.
No, I'm talking about strictly with us. I don't really care about other situations.
But I think in general, my and with us, I think it's that I don't think I don't verbalize a lot of the genuine repenting, because genuine repenting, correct me if I'm wrong, is the help me do better.
It's not help you. It's
No,
it's
no, I just say that because some of the examples were, I probably do that. It'll never happen again. Let's work on ways that or help me to find out how I can be a better friend and blah blah blah. There was some that had that.
There was some, but I just want to make it clear that's not what genuinely repenting. That is not the only genuinely repenting way. Pretty much genuinely repenting is you want to do what you can to never do that in the future. Genuinely repenting is about looking to the future.
And again, I'm just factoring in the different examples they gave of things that fall under that. One was,
I am, but I'm just making it clear that I don't want people to think that genuinely repenting means that you need someone to help you with it. You can do it yourself, but sometimes you might need help with it.
And you know what's funny?
And that's
why I wasn't a fan of that one when they factored in that, because I saw it the same way. I saw it as, whenever I saw those options, I was like, do it yourself. like don't ask me to tell you how to not
Yeah,
hurt me.
yeah.
That's
I
why-
didn't like those examples
Yeah.
because genuinely repenting is just to look at the future
Yeah, I was definitely like, nah, like
on how to
like,
not do this again.
like
That's all
clearly,
it is.
yeah, clearly I'm mad. You know you're acknowledging what you did. Clearly, what you did made me mad.
You
Don't do
figure it
that.
out.
Yeah, you figure it out.
Right, I agree.
So, yeah.
I actually didn't like those selections either.
So I'm not that.
You're right. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that you are very basic and you just
Okay.
express regret
Okay.
and you stop right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you do.
And
When you apologize,
I think
you only express a very basic regret and that's it.
and going off of what you said about the love languages, I think if I had to, I'm sure the computer, the algorithm, if the algorithm could show us what the final calculation was from our
For
test,
the apology?
mine would be on the fence of expressing regret and accepting responsibility. I think mine would have been there.
Like your outgoing apology?
No, I think even with the incoming, because my outgoing is that. I think my response, some of the answers I picked in the test,
I see what you mean.
I feel like I was expressing both. I was expressing it appealed to me because the person just expressed regret. They said they're sorry, they acknowledged it, and they didn't try to pretty it up by saying, how can I do this differently? How blah, blah, blah. They were very, like you said, they were very basic with the response, and that's all I wanted to do. Okay, cool. We'll move forward. I didn't need all that because you did just mess up my white shirt. That's all, because it was like a simple white shirt.
Right.
So yeah, so I think my outgoing is expressing regret. Because like you said, I am basic. Go ahead. Let me plan my shady response to yours. Not shady, shade, yeah. What do you think your outgoing is?
I think my outgoing is, I think that I'm actually a good mix of expressing regret, accepting responsibility, and making restitution.
If you had to put a percentage on the three.
I would say expressing regret, not because I only do that the most, but because that's how I start.
I was trying to do the math.
I always start with expressing regret. I would say I am 100% expressing regret, and then the added percentage. I would say I'm probably like 60% accepting responsibility and 40% making restitution.
60 accepting responsibility, 40 making resolution.
Making restitution.
Making restitution. What did I say? Resolution?
Yes.
Same thing? No?
No.
Making restitution, and then in your other 100%, you're expressing regret. That's what you said. You said 100% expressing regret.
Because the thing is, I feel that I always start with expressing regret. Oh my God, I am so sorry.
Okay.
What follows, it's either 50% of the time is going to be me accepting responsibility, or 60% of the time, or 40% of the time, after I've expressed regret, I'm trying to make restitution. So I'm either accepting what I did, or I'm trying to figure out how I can make it up.
Here's a question, and I'm not asking this to be like a smart ass. This is a question I'm applying to myself as well. Do you feel with what you just said, do you feel your outgoing apology, well, both your outgoing and your incoming, which we're adding to the whole theory, outgoing and incoming apology language was always the same? And when do you think your outgoing and incoming apology language changed, if it did? I would say mine changed over my lifespan, and I don't think I was always just the expression of regret. I think probably in the past, I got to think about when I think that shift happened. But in the past, or growing up, or thinking of when I was in situations where I was apologizing or accepting an apology, I was probably more. I think at one point I was probably more making restitution around when I was younger. Maybe it's because of what was going on in my life or the type of people I was around or something. I don't know. But I think I want to say I was more making restitution, and then over time just got more basic, as in just expressing, I forget what it said, expressing regret. So I feel like maybe my apology preference like got smaller and smaller when it comes to like the apology itself over time. Yeah. What about you? Or do you feel you were always that mix?
I feel that I was probably just only expressing regret. And later on in life, I realized it's a lot more complex than that. And I became the other parts.
Mm. Were any of the questions triggering? Because
Yeah, it was like if your sister made an insensitive comment towards you.
you're like, well, last week when Ambar
Right.
said this to me, we're joking, Ambar.
Or if your spouse was upset with you when you did nothing. I'm like, I'll try to imagine that.
I know it could be hard to think
Yeah.
of any kind of time like that.
But you know what? Reading, accepting responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
In the example that they used it, I don't think that it's actually that fitting.
For yourself?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to what you would prefer to hear and receive?
The way that I communicate it. I think making restitution for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely that. I would say in this part of my life, I'm going to change my answer. I would say in this part of my life, it's making restitution and genuinely repenting.
Let's...
Because accepting responsibility, the way that they have it, I'm actually working on that. Like being mindful of how you communicate an apology. That's hard. That's actually really hard. So I would say
Explain.
genuinely repenting and making restitution.
Explain what you said just now. It's hard, or let's try to explain. It's hard to be
'Cause,
mindful
all right,
of...
so an example for accepting responsibility is instead of saying, I'm sorry you feel that way, is I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Like the whole I, focusing on the
Yeah.
I, like I'm sorry that I created this situation that put you in a tough spot, instead of being like, I'm sorry that you're in a tough spot. Because it's kind of like pushing it back on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm sorry that your feelings got hurt, as opposed to I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. So that's it is
I've
a little
always had an
harder
issue
to
with
do that.
Yeah, that whole like, I'm sorry. You ever have people apologize, but they're basically saying, I'm sorry that you got upset at what I said.
That's me.
I
That's
know.
what I'm saying. I'm working on it. Like, I'm sorry that you got upset, but it's the truth.
Like, I'm sorry your face got hurt by my punch. Like, I'm sorry your face couldn't take the force of my punch.
So the reason why I say I'm working on that now is because I'm working to be mindful of saying I'm sorry. Because if I'm going to say that, then I might as well just not say I'm sorry, because I'm not really sorry. So unless I'm trying to say like, yo, I'm really sorry that what I said caused you pain. Like, if I'm not going to communicate it like that, and it's more of just like, I'm sorry that your feelings got hurt by what I said, but I said what I said and I meant it. What am I really apologizing for? So the reason why I say I'm taking it back is because reading it further, I'm working on accepting responsibility, mindfully accepting responsibility, not by fault, like not by this default that we all have where we just apologize for things we don't do, or we apologize as a way to soften the blow of something we said. I'm working on that because I want to be purposeful in the things that I say. And if I said it, and I'm not taking it back unless I am actually genuinely sorry. And then I would go about, apologizing in a genuine manner, which is either by making restitution, being, what it says, genuinely repenting, asking for your forgiveness. Like, accepting responsibility is really hard, which is funny because then that's how I want people to apologize to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I want you to accept responsibility. Like, I want you to apologize for exactly, and then...
I want you to beg.
No.
I'm joking.
Accepting responsibility, which is funny because that's, like, I want you to apologize. I want to know that you know what you did wrong.
Do we want...
And the hand that you played in the situation that you are apologizing for. That's why I think accepting responsibility is so important for me to receive from other people. Because
do we want the person... I'm saying we, just because I think about it too. Do we want to know that person feels like shit? about it, or because somebody can bring themselves to say, yo, you know what, I acknowledge it, I genuinely apologize. I feel I'm sorry I did that. They say everything they should say, but part of you is like, but they don't feel bad. But like they're not hurt. They're not like broken up about it, and it takes away from you being able to be like, okay, I accept their apology, because you don't feel like they are broken up enough or feel bad
but
enough.
Then here's my thing. At that point, you need to communicate that to them. Like, yo, I find it really hard to believe that you are genuinely sorry because I'm not getting this kind of sentiment from you. But then I feel like you got to check yourself. Like, you can't impose the way that your sensitive ass feels on someone else. Like, you can't tell them, feel how I feel. They're feeling how they feel. And just because they don't feel how you're feeling it doesn't mean they're not sorry.
And I thought about it because
they're just not sorry in the way that you prefer them to be sorry, which at that point you just have to communicate it, and maybe they can offer you a valid explanation as to why they're not, as torn up as you are about it. And then you get to make that choice if that's something that you want to forgive them for.
It makes me think of, there's a lot of people, because of everything going on right now, there's a lot of people, certain demographics, apologizing right now, right?
Yeah, after they lose their jobs and shit. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Like apologizing for not acknowledging, privileges that they've always had, not acknowledging behavior that they've allowed to happen in front of their eyes, or apologizing for just crappy behavior towards people that has been caught on cell phone camera. And I know there's some people who will hear those apologies and be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so appreciative of them apologizing, while there's someone just like, save your tears, like save your crocodile tears.
Right.
Because there are people apologizing with the tears. They're apologizing with, they're breaking down.
And that's what I mean. Like you can do the whole theatrics. That doesn't mean shit. So that's why it's kind of like, and I feel like I've had to go through the journey of being comfortable enough. If I am being 100% genuine about my apology and someone doesn't want to accept my apology, there is nothing I can do about that. But if I know that I'm being 100% genuine, then there is nothing I can do. I'm being 100%
but I want tears,
genuine.
Vicky. I'm not going
to give you tears, because at that point I'm going to be fake as hell. So like, you can either take the genuine dry one, which is genuine as hell, or you're not going to get shit, because I'm not going to put on a show, because I'm giving you the best that I can give you at this moment, and you're saying it's not good enough. So then there's nothing I can do. Yeah. I feel like sometimes people just have to accept, and not always the person apologizing, but the person being apologized to. Like, you kind of just have to accept that you're not going to be pleased.
Gotcha.
And you got to internalize that. That's on you. If you don't want to accept somebody's apology, that's on you, but that's
on you, boo boo.
Yeah, like, that's on you. Don't throw it back on the person who apologized. If they're telling you like, yo, I genuinely am apologizing to you, like, that's not good enough.
What's the worst?
Then that's on you.
What's the worst apology you've ever gotten? Like, how crappy did someone word it? Or was it on some like, or was it like or what's the most severe thing that happened and the apology was just like, it just wasn't adequate? Like, the person straight, chopped their leg off. Oh, yo, my bad. That kind of example. if you could think of one.
I can.
Go ahead. I can't say mine on air, but go ahead.
Is that why you asked
No.
me?
No. I couldn't think of one, but after the way you just said yours, I was like, one popped into my head.
Okay, I'm gonna use a real life example. Okay. One that I jotted down on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Because we're gonna revisit this. Okay, so this is what happened, everyone. Mm-hmm. On Saturday, Ode DJ'd a wedding.
Oh, okay.
And the wedding was supposed to finish at a certain time. And I remember through our conversation, he told me a different time than what was originally on the calendar, like an hour later of what was on the calendar. Mm-hmm. If you've listened to our podcast before, we work really well on our Google Calendar. If we have something that we're going to do, we put it on the calendar. It has saved us from so many arguments. of the, oh my God, but I didn't remember you told me. Why didn't you remind me? Like, it's on the calendar. And there has been many times where I would be like, oh, dang, you have a gig? And they literally would be like, it's on the calendar. And then that's it. There's nothing I can say because it's on the calendar and it was my responsibility to look at it. And I didn't look at it. Yeah. And it has happened on both ends.
Where we both either didn't put something and the other person's like,
yeah, and then you just and then you eat it and then you apologize and that's it. Whether you mentioned it every day doesn't matter. We know that we go by the calendar, so it has happened on both of our ends.
Because I know where you're going with it. Remind me, there is something about the example you're going to give that not with us, but there's just I've always wanted to have this conversation in general, not with us, but remind me that it was something I wanted to. There was extra I wanted to add to what I did. Go ahead, or how I said it.
So, yeah. So me and Jose, we had talked about it. Just casually because we both know the groom of that wedding. Mm-hmm. So I think we were talking about the time because it was in someone's home and we were wondering like, you know.
It's supposed to end at 11, right? In the calendar, I probably had
10.
like.
It's at 9:30 actually. But I remember speaking to him and it was saying 11. So I'm like, okay, so it must be like 11. I'm like, okay, O'Day's about this much time away. So I'm thinking he's going to be home like at 1. So at 1, O'Day's not home. So I call O'Day. I message O'Day. I'm calling O'Day. I'm getting no response. There's like no life of O'Day. O'Day's out in like West Jersey, which might as well be Alabama. It's like, you know, these are not the times to not know where certain people are. So I'm calling O'Day. I hit up I know a few people that went to the wedding. I start hitting them up. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm hitting people up like, hey, have you seen O'Day? I haven't heard from him. One of them texted me back like, yo, I'm home. I left. I got home like 2 hours ago. I have no idea. But when I left, the party was still going.
Because I'll make party, dog.
So I finally start like blasting one of his frat brothers on social media. I inbox him, and I'm sure he must have been like, why the hell is she messaging me at 1 something in the morning? Luckily for O'Day, he actually responded really quick, which I'm very grateful for. And he was like, oh, hey, he's actually packing up. And I said, okay. My concern was O'Day, someone has eyes on O'Day. O'Day's like not in the road and can't, not answering, whatever. Okay, whatever. So I sent O'Day a message saying, you didn't think to let me know that your gig extended. Now, I don't care that the gig extended. It's not like I was like, oh, they need to be home by this time. That's not a thing for me. It was a matter of, yo, let me know where you are. And the thing is, we've had this conversation plenty of times. We've had this conversation. So my message was, you didn't think to let me know that your gig extended. And O'Day's response was, clearly I didn't. And I'm gonna say to you what
clearly
I said.
I didn't. Sorry about that.
I
expressed regret.
He expressed regret.
Yes.
After sarcasm.
Sarcasm is the love language. I mean,
you know what they say?
Number.
Sarcasm is the language of stupidity.
Oh.
So.
Okay, Miss Sarcastic.
That's fine. So, O'Day's response to me was sarcasm and then sorry about that, like mad casual, like no, I haven't been trying to get in touch with you, out of the genuine concern for your safety. Your response was wrap it in sarcasm and then put a bow of apology on it. So my friend messaged me like, hey, was everything okay? Because I never followed up on you trying to get in touch with O'Day. Like, where was he? And I said, well, apparently the gig extended and I didn't know. And he didn't bother telling me. And so my response to my friend was like, bit, he had the audacity to get sarcastic with me. Like he had the audacity to catch an attitude with me. Cause he didn't follow up. Cause he didn't reach out and say, yo, the gig extended. I'll let you know when it's done. Because he didn't bother to check in And I called him out on it. He had the audacity to get snarky with me and respond to me sarcastically. And then there was no communication from Ode after that. There was none. That was his response. Clearly, I didn't. Sorry about that. Never heard from Ode again until the next day when I woke up and I saw he slept upstairs. So, and he got home at 3 o'clock in the morning because I checked the cameras. So, it's like, I hear from you and then you show up home 2 hours later.
We're still packing up.
No.
It was a 2-hour drive.
No. Again, no checking in. No, like, hey, I'm close to home. Hey, I just left. Hey, I just finished packing. Something. Just something. Nothing. So that is a prime example of when somebody did something and the apology was so disappointing.
So,
and the only reason why they didn't spend Father's Day on the toilets the next morning when I made breakfast.
On the toilet?
Yeah, because I was so pissed. I would have poured laxative in your breakfast. We don't even have laxative at home, but I was really pissed.
Who says that?
I just did. I was really pissed off. Was because I was like, you know what?
Laxative is a language of stupidity.
No, it's not. It's a language of immaturity, but it's not. But I didn't do it. So I was just that upset that I was like, yo, I actually was going to take the baby and walk out. But I was like, it's Father's Day. That is one instance. And this is not about Ode. This is about him being a father to Kalel and being... No, this is not about like you as a person on your own. It's about you as a father to Kalel. So I said, let me put my pissed off aside. I'll do what he wants, make him breakfast, and disappear and give him the day in peace. No mentioning it, no catching attitudes, no rolling my eyes. Take one for the team. I tried very hard not to catch an attitude. Yeah. I did. I tried really, really hard. And it was sometimes slipping and I had to catch myself.
Didn't notice at all.
But I made the breakfast, did I not?
Mm-hmm.
You asked for the breakfast. I made the breakfast. I got the kid dressed and I left. Did I not?
Got the kid dressed and I left. Yes, you did.
And before returning, I asked you if it was okay for us to come back if you had enough of your Father's Day.
What if I had said no?
I would have just stayed.
What if
it would have been no problem to me. I did not want to see you.
So just stay away then. You could have came home the next day, sleep where you were.
That's why I asked. Hey, are we okay to come back?
You could have just stayed. Don't ask. Just be like, hey, I'm just gonna stay here.
I had to come back anyways for the baby's medicine.
Mm.
So
could have came and got it and went back.
You're right. I could have. So
selfish. Yeah,
that was.
You know what that made me think
of? It's been very hard ever since then.
That made me think of, and I'm not even trying to be sarcastic in these situations, of when people, because I've done it too, when people say something like if I saw you, if you were to walk into my studio and knock the mic, and me saying something like, you didn't see that there? Clearly, I know you did not see the mic there because you bumped into it. Mm-hmm. Or if you knock something over and you left, and I go find you and I go, hey, Vicky, you didn't see the mic that was there, and I know you didn't see it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's ways that I've always had a question about that process of asking someone that.
Because you don't want to make it seem like you are assuming that they did. You're genuinely asking. Because sometimes that has happened to me where I'd be like, yo, you didn't see that? And they'll be like, no, I really didn't until you just pointed it out. Sometimes people just don't see things.
No. That's what I mean. That's because to me, yeah, we know because people just don't see things sometimes. Mm-hmm. And to think somebody would step over a dumb example, like a dirty diaper in the middle of the kitchen, a random example.
Yeah, something like that's not.
Yeah. But to think somebody like saw it and literally stepped over it, and then I would think we all have that mindset of no, that happens. People literally don't see things sometimes. Yeah. But we'll chase the person down and be like, did you not see this? The fact that it's still there means, you know what? The person didn't see it. It just made me think of that.
No. Sometimes people don't see things that are like obviously right in front of their face. And then other times people see things and they just walk past it. So that's why I think people ask, like, yo, did you not see that? Because they're actually giving you the benefit of the doubt that you genuinely did not see it. But there are people who do see it and are like, I saw it.
I feel like there's, I don't know how to word it, but I feel like there's some other way of wording it that still leaves that those options there. There's another way of acknowledging that they missed it, but yet still giving them the option of you missed it intentionally or you missed it whatever. I don't know. I just always find that weird, like when we do that.
I think that the best way to do that is to just say, hey, next time you pass, next time you pass that, do you mind? Like next time you walk across the kitchen floor, do you mind just like making sure nothing's there?
Yeah, like another way of saying, hey, you stepped over this, but you know what? You probably didn't see it. That's why you stepped over. There's just some.
Yeah, like, hey, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I picked it up. But just giving you a heads up next time, just be a little more aware.
But anyway, but like I said, one of the main reasons why I thought about, like, this topic was on my mind was the whole thing of, like, there's a lot of people apologizing now. And even I'm having an issue with accepting some people's apology. One, I don't want to sound weird. I don't want to hear. People are assuming I want some kind of apology because I'm, like, one of their black friends. So they assume I want to hear an apology. No, was it not unwarranted apology? Unasked for? What was the word?
That is unwarranted.
No. There's a word. Unsolicited apology. And I know other people are having it. Somebody wrote into a podcast recently about, hey, my friends are randomly sending me like Cash App money for lunch.
That's
and blah,
weird.
blah, blah. And she's like, I make more than them. I feel bad taking their money, but I'm just donating it to places. I'm just like, but anyways.
Well, it's funny you said that because I've sold like a few things.
What do you mean?
Some things I find in my office, I've sold them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sell it for a donation.
Oh, awesome.
They just have to screenshot me a donation.
That's what I should sell
I don't
my
take
stuff
money
for. God, I'm
going to eat this money.
Yeah,
you know what?
literally.
Help me. Help me help others. Just donate it. Do not give me the cash because I will go buy chocolate.
All right. So we got about a few minutes left. Do you want to do cards or you want to wrap it up?
No, we could do a card.
All right. Pick a card, any card. This is our segment where we do a little card game where we...
You sorted them?
I think so.
Oh, good. I have a good one.
This is a card game that kind of... It's a conversation starter. We ask each other questions and we encourage couples to find games like this that encourage conversation. So, Vicky, my question to you... Oh, it's a good one.
You sorted them then?
Probably not. No, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
This is not controversial at all. Where do you see us in 10 years? In 10 years, I will be... Wow, I'll be 48.
I know.
Have my salt and pepper beard, not like this struggle beard I got going on. My struggle quarantine beard. Do you mind that I'm growing this out?
No.
Okay.
Oh, after if it starts reaching a length, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't do like a Meek Mill rapper. No,
that's disgusting. No.
His beard isn't.
I don't care.
His beard isn't even that crazy.
Nope.
So what length are you talking about?
Anything longer than that?
Like I let it grow so it can grow in a little bit.
Let it grow in.
Okay.
But then trim it all the way. Like trim it back down to that length.
No, it can't be this length because then it looks patchy at this length. Unless I could use the Beijing, the fake coloring that
Don't do
the
that.
rappers use. Everybody claims.
I am one of those girls. I'm not a fan of beards. I think they're disgusting.
Everybody's claiming that Envy uses Beijing or whatever they call it.
Okay.
Where do you see us in 10 years?
In 10 years, this is the hopeful side of me.
Okay.
In 10 years, I would like to see us be our best versions together.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thought you were going to say something about a kid. I'd be like... Were you gonna say a second kid? Or you're confirmed now?
I just need you to go get fixed, and we good.
After the way he's been, you can get fixed too.
It's way more invasive, way more expensive. It is like completely unnecessary. It's literally going into another surgery, and you guys, it takes like 30 minutes.
You can get it too. If you are so serious about not having another child, you can get fixed.
And for the reasons that I just stated, it makes more sense for men to do it, which is why there's a lot of men. I do applaud those men. there's a lot of men going in for the procedure so that their wives or their spouses or whatever don't have to go through something so invasive, so costly.
Well, kudos to
them. Because it's just a lot quicker, and the healing takes like 48 hours. It's like insane, the fact that women were even doing that in the past when men.
Okay.
You want to talk about population control?
Why should...
Hello?
What's your question?
Do you think that we're still a good match? Why or why not?
I think we are. Wow. I think we are. Although sometimes we go blocks of time or long extended periods of time where it may seem otherwise. But I think we both acknowledge, even though we might not say it as often or at the right times, we both acknowledge that the want for that, like what you said, in 10 years, the want for us to be our better selves with each other weighs out whatever's like issues we're having at that time. Does that make sense?
Yes, but can you clarify that? Long blocks of time?
Gosh. I say, what do you mean?
You were like, even though we go through long blocks of time.
Sometimes we might argue or not be on the same page for a couple of days where we're not speaking.
That's what I'm saying. Just further clarify what long blocks of time, because it sounds like months long.
Didn't know we were being petty, but anyway,
that's not being petty.
Thank you guys. No, I explained it. People, I'm sure they knew what I was talking about. I was being general. Hey, we go blocks of time. It could be days. It could be hours. It could be weeks. We go blocks of time.
Okay.
It was a very.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to episode 77 of the You, Me, We podcast.